You know, it's pretty common knowledge that the stock lighting on these Harley Davidsons isn't that great. But that's about to change for this 2011 Road Glide. I'm getting ready to install a HID lighting kit from SoCalMotoGear. Now, this is the true plug-and-play kit. It's not like a lot that you may have seen. You know, there's no bulky wiring harnesses like this where, you know, it's real confusing and you got to run a line back to the battery and you got to have all these ground connections. Now, this is true plug-and-play. It's very simple to install and I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, if you think HID lighting is going to cost you $500 or more, the kit from SoCalMotoGear is far less than that. And if you've been considering LED lights, let me tell you something. LED lights can only dream of producing the kind of light these HID lights can produce. You're going to be able to see about 1/4 of a mile further down the road than you do with your stock lighting. So I have this on my bike. I'm going to show you how to install it on this Road Glide. Let's get started.
To complete this job, you'll need a 1/2 inch socket and a ratchet and a Torx 25. Your plug-and-play HID kit from SoCalMotoGear has everything you need for a simple and successful installation. There are 2 Bi-Xenon bulbs that will give you HID light on your low and your high beams. There are 2 ballasts and 2 Bi-Xenon connectors, and this will be the interface between the ballast and your Road Glide. And then of course you have an owner's manual, some cable ties, and some adhesive pads. To gain access to the headlights on the Road Glide, we'll need to remove the front fairing. On each side of the fairing, there are 3 Torx 25 screws that need to be removed. One is at the top under the windshield, one in the center, and then a lower one down below the glove box. In addition, there are 2 1/2 inch nuts on each side of the inside of the fairing that actually hold the turn signals in place, but they also hold the fairing on too. These will need to be removed as well. Begin by removing the 3 Torx 25 screws on each side of the fairing. There's 6 total. Now you may have to move the handlebars from left to right to get them out of the way so that you can gain access to these a little bit easier. And keep these in a parts bowl. Obviously, we'll have to reinstall these later during reassembly. Notice that the bottom Torx screw is longer than the top and the middle one. And now you can use the 1/2 inch ratchet to remove the nuts on the bottom inside of the fairing. Now, as you remove these nuts, there's also a washer underneath each nut, and make sure you remove that as well, and keep all of these in a parts bowl. Again, there's 2 of these on each side of the fairing. You'll need to remove all 4. With the nuts removed, you can now remove the turn signals and just kind of pull them out and let them hang. I like to use a soft rag to keep from scratching the chrome. To remove the fairing, simply lift up and pull back at the same time and it will come free. And then as you pull back, you'll see the wires that are connected to the headlight bulbs. We'll go ahead and disconnect both of these. And then we want to set the fairing down on a soft towel. I use indoor-outdoor carpet because you don't want the paint to get scratched. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using some water and a microfiber cloth. I just want to clean all the dust and dirt from inside the fairing because we're going to be attaching some parts to the inside of this fairing later on. Remove the rubber boot from the back of the headlight bulb. Next, twist the retaining ring counterclockwise to release it, and you can then remove the bulb from the headlight unit. Now, I'm only showing you one, but of course you're going to do this for both of the headlamps on the Road Glide. Next, remove the foam protector from the HID bulb, and be very careful. Never touch the HID bulb with your finger because the oils in your skin can damage the bulb. On the base of the bulb, you'll notice a flat edge. Now, during installation, this will correspond to the flat edge on the headlight unit so that it will be installed properly. Now we're ready to insert the HID bulb into the back of the headlight unit. Next, we're going to thread the wires on the back of the bulb through the retaining ring, and then we'll reinstall that retaining ring just like we took it out. We'll put it back on the same way. That holds the bulb to the back of the headlight unit. Then we'll thread the wires through the rubber boot and reinstall the rubber boot as well. Your HID kit comes with two 3M adhesive pads to mount the ballasts into the inside of the fairing. However, these provide a permanent installation, and until I know that I have everything exactly where I want it, I like to use some Scotch dual lock fasteners. They're like a real heavy duty weatherproof Velcro system, and I use those instead. That way I can remove them and move things around if I need to. Once I know everything's where I want it, then I can use the 3M pads for a more permanent installation. Now we're ready to start connecting all the wires. Now this system is set up so that all the wires are keyed a certain way, so they'll only go together one way, and you'll hear them click when they go together correctly. And let's just go ahead and hook all the wires up, and then we'll be ready to test the system. The last piece I wire up is the H4 connector shown here. Now this is going to plug in to the headlight connector on the Road Glide. Here you can see what the inside of the fairing looks like with all the pieces attached that I've installed. If you hold the fairing close to the bike, you can now connect the Bi-Xenon connectors from the ballast to the receptacles that comes from the Road Glide. Now this is the connector that we originally removed from the back of the headlight bulb. And you'll notice I've used a cable tie to kind of tie these together so they don't come loose. You'll notice two notches at the top of the headlight unit on the inside of the fairing. Now these will slip down over two metal hooks that protrude from the front of the Road Glide, and you'll do that when you reinstall the fairing. So you line up the fairing and you just kind of set it on those hooks, and then it will hold in place while you're able to reattach all of the screws. Before reinstalling the screws and the nuts, it's a good idea to test the HID lights to make sure the low and the high beams are working correctly. Now we're ready to reinstall the turn signals by inserting the bolts through the fairing, and make sure you put the washers on the bolts before you reattach the 1/2-inch nuts. Then using the socket and the ratchet, go ahead and tighten all four of these. Remember, there's two nuts on each side of the inside of the fairing. Reinstall the 6 Torx 25 screws. Remember that the longer ones go at the very bottom. And tighten all of these, and then you're pretty much done. You're ready to go out and ride and enjoy your new HID headlights. Here in a side-by-side comparison of the stock lighting versus the HID, you can see how much brighter and whiter the light is compared to the yellowish look of the stock lighting. And take a look at that street sign. It's bright with the HIDs. You can barely see it with the stock lights. And what about that mailbox on the right? You can't even see it with the stock lighting, but you can with the HIDs.